Injuries last night. Jordan Reed has a great toe muscle strain. Deion Hamilton, Sean has a shoulder sprain contusion. And Doxson is in concussion protocol.
When did Josh suffer that concussion?
I don't know. He checked in this morning with symptoms, and we're just checking him out.
And with Jordan, obviously he's had foot and toe issues over the last couple of years. Is this something that is onto that, or is this a new thing? And all of the rehab and the things that he's done to get better, is all that safe?
Yeah, all that's safe. This is a new one.
Jay, what's the level of concern right now with Jordan? There was a report a minute ago that he might not play again this year.
Yeah, there's a level of concern. It's a pretty good strain on your toe, big toe, and obviously with the amount of cutting that he does, we'll see if it's 1 week, 2 weeks, or the rest of the year. We're not sure yet.
Was he actually making a cut when he hurt himself, or
I think he hurt it on the first throw. It was a little bit high, and then he came down on it and landed on it, and the guy stepped on him, I believe.
Do you see Zach Brown starting this week, or how do you kind of plan to move forward with Sean? And
yeah, we'll see. I think we need a good week of practice from him. He missed a couple days last week, and we had him in the sub package. And then when Sean Deion went down, he played a lot. So, it's a decent group. We just got to get more out of them.
Was any of that for Zach performance related, or was it just because he missed the practices?
He missed. Sean Deion took the reps and was ready to go.
You've had guys who have had to miss before and can still go out there and play. Was he just not one of those guys you would trust to do that?
No, we had him up in, like I said, in the sub package. And then we're just going to start Sean Deion in base just to get it started. And then as the game went on, we were going to see how Sean Deion did and then move on from there.
Jay, you kind of watched the game yesterday. I don't know how much you watched of it, but I mean, the defense continues to have that little bit of a decline. Can you kind of put a finger on some of the things that happened yesterday and even in past weeks, in recent weeks?
Well, we're trying to put our finger on it, and we're trying to put guys in the right spots. At the end of the day, it's about getting off blocks. It's about pursuit angles. It's about tackling. And we did a good job of that for some of the time, but the glaring plays were the long runs. You had an 80-yard run, I believe, a 50-yard run, and another 30-yard run. And those things, we just got out of gaps, and then we took poor angles at the second level. So he's a great back without a doubt, but we made it easy on him on a couple of those long runs for sure.
Is there a fatigue with this defense a little bit?
I don't think so. I think the young guys are holding up pretty good on the inside. I think Payne had a very good game, and Jonathan Allen held up on the inside. On the outside, Kerrigan and Preston did what they could. And then linebackers, we just, for whatever reason, I think it's a combination, really. I've said it many, many times in the run game on defense. It's such a gap control game that if one guy gets out of the gap or one guy misses a tackle, it's a big play potentially, especially against a good back like Saquon. And he made us pay a couple times with some good cutbacks and some missed tackles.
Jay, you said yesterday you were going to go back through each of the 15 penalties, especially the holdings, and kind of get a look and maybe send some to the league. Do you have a better feel for the penalties and whether you guys were deservedly flagged for some of those?
Yeah, I mean, throw a flag. There's a couple of them that I have really major questions on, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like that every week. You could probably watch a film and go back and rewind it 10 times. You can find a holding call on every play, or not a holding call on any play that they called. So no matter how you look at it, I guess, but it's an issue that has haunted us all year. We lead the league in penalties. It continues to get worse. I think when you have a league in penalties, I think it alerts the referees before the game, and they might watch us a little more closely. I told our guys today. So that being said, obviously, we have to do a better job of getting our hands out and get our hands off the face mask. But 14 penalties is 2 penalties. A little odd, but we got to deal with it, and we got to overcome them.
Jay, a couple guys talked about just kind of being frustrated with, the last couple of weeks with everything. Do you pull the team together and kind of talk about staying in a good mental space, or is that something that, you don't feel is a necessary kind of thing to do?
No, mental space is very important. We got to get in the right frame of mind. We can't lose any confidence, but we have to understand we got to work. We got to work harder than our opponent. We got to practice harder. We got to be up on our fundamentals. We have to be up on our assignments. We have to be focused in on every play. You know, and when you're playing against very talented players on the other side of the game, other side of the field, no matter who you play, they're going to have players that if you lack in focus for one snap, it's going to cost you. And we played good. I mean, I can put a highlight reel together of the last 4 weeks on defense, and we look pretty darn good. But I can put a whole highlight reel together that looks pretty poor. And obviously, we have to get rid of those poor plays, those big plays that are killing us. And offensively, we got to find a way to make some big plays. Not till the end of the game do we finally manufacture some chunk yards. So chunk yards is a huge part of pro football, something we have to avoid on defense, something we have to get to on offense.
When you look at Josh's second half, Johnson's, how do you measure that? I mean, obviously there was a big deficit when he came in, so maybe the Giants are playing differently than they may have if it was 10-0 or whatever. How do you measure his performance and kind of putting some of that aside?
Well, I think they're playing the same coverage. They didn't change up their game plan when Josh came in. I think Josh came in and provided a spark with his legs a little bit, avoided some pressure, moved around, got to the second, third progressions on a few throws, despite just getting here. So, you know, I was impressed with his poise mostly and his ability to maneuver in the pocket, you know, with the offensive line and flux the way it is. You know, new right guard, you know, Ty played left guard for the first time. Chase coming off the injury. We had some push up the middle, so I thought it was necessary to try to get somebody who can move around a little bit better. And Josh did that. You know, he's always been a guy in the pocket that is pretty dangerous when he moves around, gets outside, and he was familiar with the system and handled for the most part. He did a pretty good job with the snap count and formations and plays. So, you know, I think there's an upside there that we can build off of.
Why do you think it's been so hard for him to stick with the job? I mean, he's been kind of all around. Why is it?
Yeah, when you watch Josh play, you know, he can be hot and cold, you know, throwing the ball. You know, he can throw a great ball and then throw one in the dirt and then throw a great ball. You know, the consistency probably, what people see. Now his age, he's a little bit older. Guys want to probably go younger, try to get a younger guy in here. But, you know, he's been on 11 or 12 teams. You can look at it as a negative. You can look at it as a positive that he does have a skill set that is intriguing. And when he gets an opportunity, like he did yesterday, you know, he does pretty well. So he'll get another big one on Sunday.
Now that he's been here a couple of weeks, what have you made of Clinton Dix' play?
Yeah, Ha-Ha's done some good things without a doubt. You know, there's some some things we got to clean up for sure. But you know, like I said before, I like his professionalism. I like the way he works, and I like the way he plays. You know, consistently. You know, overall, you know, I think everybody on defense. I think there's a player or two they wish they had back, without a doubt. There's a play call we wish we had back, a couple of them. But it's something we just got to get our guys to play fast and play furious and understand where they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to get there.
Has he created that impact that you envisioned when you traded for him?
I think he's finding his way, really, getting to know the guys, getting to know the scheme a little bit. It's not easy, you know, but he's a veteran guy and understands different core concepts and coverages. But, you know, a lot of the things that, you know, we have different checks here and there and just something getting the communication right with DJ. You know, DJ, you know, has had to do some different things, being down in the box a little bit more. So, you know, I think just from a communication issue, it's getting better and better, but it needs to get a lot better next week.
Considering how well Monte played last year, and I know he was up and down earlier this year, do you consider making that switch back, or what makes it that Ha-Ha is still the better option at safety?
Yeah, we have to look at Monte. Again, I think nobody gave up on Monte. We traded for a good player, you know, a Pro Bowl type player in Ha-Ha, and we want to give him every opportunity to come in and play. We weren't that we were down on Monte at all. We needed depth at that position, and we got him in here, and we liked what we saw, so we put him out there early. But Monte does have a chance to play in the next 3 weeks quite a bit if we choose to go that route, because he is a good player, great speed.
And on the penalties specifically with the offensive line, is there something where a specific technique or whatever it is causing the refs to call those flags that you might necessarily agree with? And can a consistently miscalled penalty change the way you teach to try to avoid that?
You know, I don't think it's a technique we're teaching that's getting called. We're getting called all kinds of different ways. You know, we get called on the wraparound every once in a while. We get called on a takedown. We get called on hands of the face. You know, we got called on something. I watched the play back 30 times and was trying to figure out which player held, and still don't know to this. I think it was they called it on a right guard, and I don't know what he did. But, you know, I don't know. We just have to get it cleaned up, whatever it is.
Jay, I think it was the Leagues Network yesterday had a couple reports on Alex saying that I think he had multiple surgeries, maybe up to 6, and that he maybe was not going to be ready for next year, at least at the start. I know you've been bound before by those things, but this is the Leagues Network. Can you confirm any of this, or?
I cannot confirm anything right now. You know, I told you I was going to be hush-hush on this deal until Alex was ready to talk about it.
Jay, real quick, is Tony Bergstrom possibly coming back this week?
He was in his boot yesterday. I think he took the boot off today. Walking around a little bit. Probably be a long shot to get him ready this week. Hopefully he'll be back next week.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.